Hello and welcome back to Central Coast Newspapers Video News. I'm Jackie Pearson. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Julie Dolan, former Matilda and now an AM, now working at the IFTS Independent Sporting School up at Carry-On. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you very much.
It is so lovely to meet you in person.
It's great to be here.
Congratulations on the recent Queen's birthday honour.
Oh, thank you very much. I've spoken a little bit about that to various people, and I think anyone who's involved in a team situation would know, that there's a lot of other people that are just as passionate, just as dedicated, and so it's sometimes very humbling to be singled out for such an award because there's so many others around you.
That's lovely to hear. So how and when and why did you start playing football? Did you play as a child?
Yeah, I think, look, if you dig into the histories of most female players, they might have started in the backyard with their brothers or because football's that sort of game, you can get out in the backyard or in the street with the neighbours and just kick a ball around. So, yeah, I had 4 brothers and 1 sister, so, that's virtually half a team.
It is.
So it wasn't hard to get a bit of a game going in the backyard. And with 4 brothers, they don't give anything. So.
And did you play for school or a club?
Look, back then, Jackie, women in football wasn't a school thing. I was able to play a couple of games with the boys' school team. But that was about it. They were only sort of little cameo appearances, really, without being a cameo at that point.
So how from that did you end up being representing Australia as a Matilda?
Look, I was involved in state hockey, and one of the girls at the state hockey trials, she went off to football training, and I thought, oh, that'd be great.
Right.
And so I went along the next week and I kept going and it went from there. So from there, New South Wales teams and Australian teams.
And so how was it to represent your country?
It's indescribable, really. It's such a great honour, and that is never lost on anyone who goes into that arena. So there's always that green and gold pride. So it's difficult to describe.
And you've stayed part of football. How do you describe the transition that's happened in the Matildas from your time to the current superstar status they're enjoying?
Well, I think you've nailed it right there. We've gone from where I couldn't even play at school to the girls these days with their household names, and good luck to them because they're so talented. And the product that we have now, it's a result of 40 years, 45 years of grinding away to get to this point.
So how do you feel about grassroots football, about the kids coming through now, the little girls who they get to play mixed until they're, I think, under 15s, and then they have to go into the women's comp. But sometimes I see whole teams of girls now, which was even unusual, when the oldest of my 3 children was playing.
Right.
So it seems to me like girls' football is really, really growing. Are you able to confirm that?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the fastest growing sports. And that's on the back of all the success and all the exposure that these girls are getting now. So, it's a great opportunity to grab hold of that momentum and develop the game. And that starts at grassroots. So we see the same at the football and tennis school with, so many more girls applying and so many more girls in the competition just locally. So.
And so you stepped forward and put your hand up to help the Central Coast Mariners A-League club with getting a W League side again. They had one.
They did, yeah.
Last year they were told that they needed change rooms at the stadium, so they've got change rooms at the stadium now, but they've been told this year that the W League is not expanding. What do you think the major stumbling blocks are that we have to get over to convince the FFA that this region deserves a W League side?
I don't think it's about convincing FFA that we deserve a W League side. It's in their policies to have a W League team associated with every A League team. So that's their mandate, basically. So what they have to do is get the competition right so that they're able to accommodate the extra teams. I don't know what the hold-up is there.
Well, there's a bye. There's an uneven number of teams in the W League, so there's actually room, one would expect, for a... Have you had any feedback about why we can't have one?
The basic feedback I get is because they're not ready to expand. They need to get that the competition as is right. But expanding the competition too may mean that they'll lose, the top players back to their overseas contracts. So, but if you think outside the box, why not Wednesday night games to fit a few more games in? And, and that would finish the competition in the same amount of time, or the contracted players overseas could get off and get to their clubs, and that would seem to solve that, I would think. Maybe that's a little too simplistic.
So what do you think of the quality of the W League, and what would getting it right look like, in your opinion?
I think getting it right is not adding to it so that it waters down the talent.
Right.
But you would think an addition of one more team is not going to water down the talent across the whole pools. What it would do, in my estimation, is encourage the younger kids to come up and to get an opportunity to represent at that level, because there's not that many spots available in 8 teams across the whole country.
Yeah. So are there girls locally who are heading up against that level?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And where are they going?
Well, as usual on the Central Coast, they either go to Newcastle or they head down to Sydney.
So we lose them. We lose the talent.
We do. And until we get our own team up here, that will keep happening. And it's a lot to ask of families, to get their kids to Sydney or Newcastle three nights a week.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the interim, what does the local football community need to do to get some momentum so that, if an opportunity does arise, we're ready for it?
Look, I think the Mariners Academy have the women's teams in place right now. So when and if the W League does come to town, they've got the girls ready to step in. Of course, there'll probably be some imports, but you probably need that as well, so that you're not getting trounced in the competition, and it's encouragement also to the other girls on the coast to aspire to that level.
And tell us a little bit about how things are going at the International Football and Tennis School.
Oh, going great. Yeah, and we're getting a lot more females at the school now. Initially, I think people thought, women can't make it in football, so why would we send them to a school where they're training to be a footballer, essentially, or a tennis player, or whatever other sport. But now it's, people can see that girls can make it in football, they can earn a living. And it's something that is a reality now. So I think that's the reason we're getting more and more girls. Also, the football school's been around for 5 years now. So it's becoming...
That's gone quickly, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. News about it on the coast is... There's not too many people that don't know about it now, so...
Okay, and what's the future hold? Are you expanding up there?
Yes, we are expanding. We're bringing on other sports. First up is netball next year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and sports that essentially have a pathway for kids. Kids can learn their trade and then get into other representative areas and then possibly represent their country, if not their state.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, in general, as someone who is an ambassador of the game and a lover of the game, where do you see it heading now that Australia is part of Asia? Our women are doing so incredibly well. What's the future hold for football in this nation, do you think?
For the women, I think if we don't get it right in the W League, it could go pear-shaped.
Really?
Well, if we don't get it right in the W League, then our players have, very real possibilities of playing overseas these days. And they're getting paid a lot of money. So if we don't get it right here, then there's those opportunities available. And why wouldn't they take them?
So is having a Central Coast team part of getting it right?
Dolan. I think it is part of getting it right, and it's part of getting it right for the FFA as well, because that's what their policy states these days.
Now, I'm under a little bit of pressure at home because I have a burgeoning 14-year-old who plays and loves football and has a real football brain.
Right.
And she's saying, "You're a local journalist, Mum.
Yes.
You have to be able to do something to get us a W League side. Why aren't you assembling people outside the stadium? Why aren't we having rallies? Why aren't we writing letters?" And I'm at a loss to answer that question. Are you able to answer it for me? I think, what should I be doing as a girl football mum?
I think it's encouraging people to speak up whenever they can.
Mm-hmm.
The Mariners recently had a petition for
Yes.
their W League team, so it's getting people behind that, getting people behind the local clubs, and making sure that the momentum continues, so that it becomes a no-brainer for the FFA, because our ducks are in a row up here as far as I'm concerned. We've got the change rooms, we've got the Mariners A-League team behind us, and the Mariners...
The Academy talent?
Yes. So they're all ready to go. It's just, okay, we're just waiting for the gong.
Is the problem capital? Are we expected to have, a bigger investment base to get the marquee players, or is that an issue?
I don't believe it is. Compared to the A-League, the W League costs nothing like the A-League. So I don't think capital is an issue.
Well, onward and upward. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations again on your Queen's birthday honour.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.